Beaver Dam Lake Protection and Rehabilitation District Board meeting, January 17th. Starting right now at 7:02. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Tonight's meeting is an open meeting in accordance with New York State Public Open Meetings Law. We're live in the community building and live on Zoom. This meeting is being recorded to be posted on the Orange County DPW website through the BDL YouTube account. Just a quick note before we really get going. Definition of a quorum is explained by the commissioner of the DPW just recently, was that as long as we have an available majority of the board. So at the moment, there are 3 official board members serving. There are 4 vacancies. And also a lesser known fact is that the commissioner and the deputy commissioner can also serve as board members if they so choose. They can show up at any meeting. They are not here tonight. They were asked, the commissioner said, you have a majority, you proceed with the meeting, you will meet a quorum. Tonight, we do intend on appointing a board member. So we will have 4 tonight shortly. So with that, currently on the board, we have Larry Weinberg, board member. 3rd year, your final year of this?
This is in my 3rd year.
3rd year of this? Yep.
After the cycle, I will. Again, yeah, so I apologize for being bundled up. I was frozen all day long and I haven't made the thaw yet, so.
And he's sitting next to a guy in shorts, so.
That's what I was gonna say.
We won't go into that right now, but, all right, so Larry Weinberg from Cornwall. I'm Christopher Dunn from New Windsor, recently elected for a 3-year term. Jason Younes, also from New Windsor. And then we have 4 vacancies: New Windsor, formerly held by Walter Blows; Cornwall, formerly held by Fred Widman, who's present here tonight. Blooming Grove vacancy previously held by Kevin Boyle, and another New Windsor vacancy formerly held by Chairwoman Erica Dahl, and then Diana Smith. With that, before we continue, we'd like to make a motion. If anybody would like to make a motion for chair. This is the organizational part of the meeting. That's the importance of this January meeting specifically to get our board positions fulfilled. So if there's a motion.
Want to do the pledge first, or we'll go on to that.
We do it.
Do this first? I would certainly like to nominate Fred Widman to continue at least for a 1-year term on the Cornwall side.
I think we have to seat our 3 first before we go.
Oh,
Yeah, that's the one thing. I think we have to seat our chair, or vice chair, and secretary before we appoint. Yeah, I don't want to get twisted up in.
sounds good to me.
Yeah. So is there a motion on the floor for the chair?
I motion chair. Would like to put my vote toward Christopher Dunn to be our chairperson.
Second that. All right, it is noted that Christopher Dunn, myself, I will serve as the chair for this year. I would like to move that we nominate a vice chair. For a motion for the vice chair. If not, I would like to nominate Larry Weinberg as vice chair. Is there a second? A second. All in favor? Aye, so motion is carried. Larry Weinberg will serve as vice chair. And thirdly, I would like to make a motion for secretary. I'd like to nominate Jason Younes for secretary.
Make that motion, Jason. Secretary.
Do we hear a second?
You. Aye. You guys.
Oh, I have to say it. Sorry, I'm pointing to Fred. It's out of habit, everybody. Sorry, this is a little,
Yes.
I second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so move that Jason Younes will serve as secretary. Okay, moving on to appointing. All right, Larry, take it away.
Current vacancy for, Cornwall. Fred Whitman has done such a fantastic job with us. He is absolutely, instrumental in what we're doing, involved in so many different things, and, I think we would really, struggle and see a big loss without Fred. I really would motion to appoint Fred for a 1-year term, and, certainly, hopefully, be graciously accepted.
I'd like to second that. All in favor?
And I accept.
All right, Fred, thank you very much.
All right, Mr. Fred Whitman, thank you, welcome back. Just so we all know, like, after the election, we were thinking about these vacancies and who we were gonna fill. And please understand, this is, once again, it's a volunteer with a title. You know, we're volunteers with a title. And we're here to be the liaison and the advisory board between community members and DPW and the county. So we're here, it's an important aspect of where we live. And I think it's a good idea to keep it strong and to have people that are willing to do the job and treat it with respect. And Fred is certainly one of those people, and he's been around for a while, and he said that he would be interested possibly. Just kind of kept that in the background in my pocket and said, thank you very much. Hopefully it all works out, that Fred still wants to come on in January, and here we are. So, all right, so we're now up to 4. Okay, with that, pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there a motion to adopt tonight's agenda?
Motion on.
Second?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, please note that the motion has been adopted. Just some administrative things first, so after we appoint members, we will still be looking to appoint more. Now, there may or may not be someone else showing up tonight, see if that happens. At the moment, we know that there's a very important, actually, is the title of the meeting, is it scoping session, kind of like the Cornwall Social, what's the title of it?
It's a public hearing.
So it's a public hearing, public speaking hearing?
Yes, the only public hearing, open public hearing, and it's a very, very large treetops warehouse project. And there's a very large amount of opposition to this. It's off of 9W across from the EMA, or they've got the
Military Academy, yeah.
fields. And it's about 120 acre beautifully developed, like it's got all trees and just forests, and unfortunately, there's a plan in place to put in like 1.2 million square feet of warehouse space, which would affect a lot of additional things. So there's a lot of opposition, and that is the hot button tonight. 7 p.m. is the open public hearing. If we didn't have this going on, I would be there just the same. So.
Right. And maybe we'll cover a little bit more on that, just so you know, that's completely out of our jurisdiction as it is, because we're Beaver Dam Lake, and that's Cornwall. Just another note of board organization, the meeting schedule, our current meeting time has been standing at 7 p.m. every second Wednesday of the month, unless otherwise rescheduled by the board or its chair. Current BDL advisory board bylaws require 3 meetings per calendar year. Note 3. In the past, it's been mentioned that it's 4, it's actually 3, because there's this meeting in January for organizational, and then there's the pre-budget and then the post-budget, and those are actually the only required meetings. But historically speaking, the board has tended to have a meeting every month, and we continue to do so. We'll intend to do so. Any rescheduled meeting or cancellation notification will be announced through the official board communication channel, bdlboard@gmail.com. Okay, so tonight's agenda is a little bit smaller, and the last board meeting was held on December 13th, 2023. Some thank yous. We just finished really tumultuous but successful year here at Beaver Dam. It ended in a fantastic tree lighting ceremony, holiday. Get together here, a gathering of 75 plus people right in this building. The last meeting had decorations around and volunteers. I'll let Larry speak to that in a moment. But it was a great experience. There was a lot going on just between the election and in November and December. So here we are in 2024 and we're ready to hit the ground running. Thank you to all that donated for our 20-foot tree with 1,200 lights. Also, thank you so much, Christine Little. You are around all the time. I think we're just gonna keep bugging you at some point to be on the board. But thank you for organizing the holiday light contest. Did we leave anybody out? It's pretty much Christine's.
She drove the whole process for
Yeah,
the
for the
organizing and came up with some great ideas to keep the thing rolling, during again, a very busy time, so. We did get a late start because we had so many other things that were happening at the same time, but Christine got it together real quickly and, it was very successful.
Absolutely, and thank you, of course, to our BDL maintenance worker for the DPW, Tom Lark, for taking down the outside decorations as well as for snow removal now on 2 separate occasions and throughout the rest of the winter. As we decided last year that we did not need a snow removal contract. He's been doing it with the late snow blower. Larry, I want to have you do this part, number 5, make sure you get the names right.
Yeah, so, again, as Chris mentioned, thank you to Tom Lark. Remember, when we're doing the budget, we save a good amount of money by not hiring a snow contractor because we simply don't really need, and we don't want to waste really important, monies or raise anybody's taxes. So that's a great thing, and it's working out perfectly. One additional thing to mention, we did also have a holiday menorah that there was a GoFundMe page, so Rachel Richard and a number of people donated, so thank you for that. The holiday event that we had here, although the weather really made it challenging, we still pushed through and had a fantastic event.
Monsoon season.
Absolutely. Millie Soto and Rachel Zanny, Christine Little, Rachel Gass, that's Rachel's daughter, Leah, and Christina Cordova. So many people came and pitched in and just made a real home run out of this event. And the weather battled us, but we still had a very great event. So thank you very much. We look forward to the future events with that. I believe also the Salisbury Mills Fire Department came, bringing down Santa Claus and added so much to the whole event. It was just a really great time. So thank you again to the Salisbury Mills Fire Department for continuing to stay on top of the ice rescues and water safety drills. And while it may be alarming and some people are not staying on top of that, see them out there. You know, we always give you a little heads up when we know that they're out there so you don't panic, but we really appreciate their extra support, so thank you.
Of course, and moving on to safety, we mentioned this at the last meeting, and to be honest, I think it would be prudent to mention for the next 2 or 3 meetings, especially while there's any opportunity for ice to form on the lake, just a little quip about ice safety. We'll also probably resend that email from time to time, just to keep it fresh in people's minds and to share with any guests you may have, through this winter. Ice thickness is not tested on Beaver Dam Lake. Areas of thinner ice are likely to be present. Caution is advised anytime you enter upon a frozen lake. Ice thickness is not uniform on any body of water and can vary day to day for a multitude of reasons, including air temperature, water temperature, sunlight, wind. Therefore, it is not feasible to determine ice conditions in every part of the lake on every winter day. Therefore, residents are responsible for determining safe ice conditions for themselves and their accompanying guests. Please be safe and practice extreme caution this winter. Also note, there are no gas-powered motors permitted in or on the lake, no snowmobiles, and please no vehicles. If you see it, please call the police. The board is not a security force, and emailing us will simply delay the process, as we will then contact 911 ourselves. So, to quote former Chairwoman Erica Dahl, We do not need to pull any more quads, trucks or cars out of this lake, so.
They
Stay
had
out of
one ice issue last year, we did have somebody fall through the ice and they were rescued by the fire department, so.
So that was just a little nod to Erica.
Thank you.
All right, board communications, emails, does anybody have any emails to report with, residents that they'd like to talk about?
Just briefly received an email regarding, the status of the Pennings, which is the Cornwall Social. I have zero update to give. I was told that things are on hold, that they, do have the ability for Cornwall Social to, work on some of the structures and, take things down, but they can't continue work until some other permitting and some other things are ironed out. So we're in a temporary holding pattern. I'll respond to that resident. I didn't have the ability today, so that was just one open email that we had.
Were you familiar with that resident? Because I saw that email, that's why I figured I'd send it out to you.
I'm not.
Okay. If you are indeed on, we will get back to you. Just kind of go back to a historical line of emails, November 28th, we announced a lake drawdown. And then on the 11th, we were on hold due to 2.5 inches of rain. Then on the 17th, we received another 2.93 inches of rain. Then December 26th, between the 26th and 27th. This is a little weather station at my house around the corner, another 2 inches of rain. Then recently, between the 6th and the 9th, we had 2.4 inches of rain. And then most recently, the 12th to I think just 2 days ago, well, 3 days ago, we basically had 2 to 3 inches of a combo rain and snow. So the water table is essentially high. The idea of having a drawdown, once again, was to clean the lake, the waterfront. And we were also gonna take an opportunity just to make an access path, as has been mentioned, an access path for Reserve 5, just to slash through the cattails and make an access so boats can get in. That's something that can still get done, but it would have made it a lot easier if the lake was pulled down 2 feet. As you may know, anybody that's near the lake, the water is still very high, there's ponding everywhere, and now it's frozen, so the window is closing. We can technically do a drawdown at any time. We checked on this, but it was recommended by the DEC that we pretty much should do it in December to January. Does that mean we can't do it in February? No, it doesn't, but it's getting less likely. And the way precipitation keeps falling from the sky, it looks like we may miss out on that this year.
Question.
Brett.
Regarding the drawdown, you mentioned about creating a pathway. But as I was thinking the other day, since they're no longer picking up yard waste, to clean up one's lakefront property area, what does one do with that stuff between now and April?
Yeah, so Fred, that's a great question. I've still been speaking with Tim McCarthy, who is on the town board. Yes, and this is an issue that I've been after since April, trying to get the reinstatement of buckets for removal of yard waste. And while Tim couldn't promise me anything, he said once the reorganization for January was complete, with all the new, elected officials, that he would take on the task and see what could be done with that. I did email out to Secretary Beaver. She did reply to me. She said that this is certainly an item an issue that many other people have been inquiring about, and that it is not something that's awful to you. So, yes.
And just, to add on to that, I don't believe there's been any change with yard pickup with New Windsor, which wouldn't affect, that doesn't affect us here because Reserve 4 is in New Windsor, so is Reserve 5. So anything that we do at 5, seems like we should still be able to put it out to the curb.
Oh, okay. I don't know about pail pickup for the Windsor.
Yeah,
Do they do?
I mean, they do bags, they do leaf bags and such, so it hasn't been an issue that I know of in the past. If anybody online, if anybody knows different, please put something in the chat box.
Imagine regular pickup would take it.
Right, and many people may even have just a parcel of area on their in their yards where they can dump it, but.
If we're taking it out of the lake, it's gonna be soaking wet and it's gonna
Yeah.
need a couple of weeks to dry anyways. So by the time it comes fully dry or not frozen, it might be the buckets will be available to open up anyways,
Sure.
but at least it'll be out of the lake.
Right, but good question, Fred. So yeah, with that, so the drawdown looks like it may or may not happen. Let's see, that was so then, yeah, so that was part of the communications. Now, most recent communication that I reached out, I wanted to get this going. We had discussed this last summer and many times, to possibly get the lake open sooner for swimming. That is historically been held up, not by anything that the board has done or not done. It's held up by the fact that we don't have lifeguards. That's the reason. So if we have more lifeguards that are available, we can open up sooner, period. That's the only reason why why the lake has, or why the beach has ever opened late, and it's purely because of lifeguards. So thinking ahead, we reached out to a resident that had a son that was on the swim team at Washingtonville High School. I just sent out an email the other day to Coach Frisbee, Jim Frisbee, and he did respond. We were just kind of playing phone tag today, so we get to discuss in further detail what the idea, and he seemed game was to, and he's also a person that can certify swimmers for lifeguard training. So that is something I want to at least pick his brain about, so that we can get maybe a feeder program potentially. It'd be a good opportunity for some of the swimmers to even get summer work. And if Washingtonville High School and then maybe Cornwall will jump in, and at that point, maybe we don't have a shortage of
Right, yeah.
lifeguards.
That seed was planted, one I'll bring up was that they don't do open water certification, so if we do get the lifeguards engaged and wanting to be part of the process, we'll have to figure out how to get them the proper certification. I mean, they'll be qualified to be a lifeguard, but they'll need the additional layer to get open water certification. So as we make traction on this, we will figure out how to get them engaged with us together, and then we'll figure out the second step of that process.
And we will report back so far what we have, what we will learn from Coach Jim Frisbee. Okay. Moving on to DPW communications with the board. Also, this was basically a follow-up to the December 5th meeting that Walter Bloss and I had with DPW. There was at the end of the close of the meeting, we had learned that Army Corps of Engineers may or may not have tested our lake and surrounding areas for PFAS, PFOS. And we certainly wanted to know if they had, what were the results? So, reaching out to the DPW just for a follow-up. The response, actually got it back today from newly assigned Deputy Commissioner Ryan McGuire. He stated that his understanding is that the Department of Defense has not been forthcoming with the results for their PFOS testing. Doesn't mean they don't have it, doesn't mean they don't want to give it to us. I think we just need to ask them. He said, quote, "I was able to find the attached fact sheets. You may want to reach out to the project manager of the New York State Department of Health, listed on the fact sheet for Beaver Dam Lake." So, another stay tuned. We're gonna check, because that's been something that we've discussed several times. We had residents asking about, does Orange County test wells for PFOS? Do they test the lake? The answer is yes, that they do test wells, but do they test the lake? No. Army Corps, maybe they did. We'd like to know the results. Jason?
Yes, I mentioned this in the last meeting. I did participate in the blood urine test. It was for PFAS, and I had noticed I've gotten no results.
Oh, this is, as in, no results, or
No,
you're good?
I got no feedback.
I got you.
But yeah, it's for PFAS and other pesticides and metals.
Was this voluntary, or did they? Oh, okay, so you sought them out.
Yeah, I seen an ad for it and it was mine, so I.
Okay, excellent, good for you. All right, also review of the 12-5 meeting, Lake Management for 2024. This is just a bit of a repeating sort of from last meeting, justification for the new contract with GEI. High phosphorus concentrations expected to be represented in lab reports. They're still yet to be delivered. That has just actually changed as of yesterday. HA from GEI said that the report will be coming definitely by the next meeting. He's gathering information now. So the testing that we did in August, September, and October has been completed, but it took several months for the lab to get the results back to us. We'll have a better report and potentially a presentation by AJ himself. That would be a great thing to learn. A regular tributary sampling is highly recommended based on the E. coli results alone. More evidence is required to compel DEC, the DEC Department of Water, local governments to act on the high concentration sources of E. coli found in the following sources within our watershed. And those sources that were the body of water leaving Brittany Terrace, the body of water leaving Twins Pond, which is to our south, and that flows northerly into the lake. And then, of course, the main tributary that comes along Jackson from 207 and Little Britain School, which has been spoken about so much here. Please check prior meetings for that information. But we'll have a better summary. So we've continued to compile evidence why we would want to rehire the same firm or an additional firm and to elongate the contract. So the DPW Commissioner Eric Denega will review. He's still in the process of reviewing the commissioner discretion allowances versus getting a 3-year contract bid, which are two separate things, emergency money versus bid money, and let us know how to proceed to renew the contract. The current contract does not expire until July of 2024, so we have time. It's not like it's expired in the last calendar year. We still are gonna have GEI at our disposal for many things in the next 6 months. So that's a good thing. The test and just from the side, gentlemen in the room, having conversations with various town officials just in passing in the last couple of weeks and months, whenever it is mentioned that we have done testing and we're getting results, of course, they want to know the numbers. And when it's passed on that the numbers are showing results that are detrimental.
Favorable.
They're not favorable at all for the lake. They're going to feed algae growth. Coli is going to feed algae growth, phosphorus, of course, and we are at our lake is at a high level, not just a high level, we're on a restricted, forgetting the term, but the DEC put us on the 2020 list, the 2022, and I think we're still on the list for a high phosphorus concentration in a residential lake. Not a lake in the middle of the Adirondacks, not a lake in the middle of the Catskills, that's in the forest, one where people are bathing and homes are surrounding it. So it is high priority for them. Now, that's where it seems to stop. It's on a list, but the DEC does not have any obligation to seek out this information and to substantiate how much phosphorus is in the lake. That's when we decided to pick up that ball and start running with it well over a year ago at this point. So the more data we compile, the better case we can make when it comes to getting the DEC to act, the County Department of Health to act, because at this point, County Department of Health has not acted. They pretty much kick it to the DEC, and the DEC's response is need the substantiated results. We're getting them. So have faith, more time. It's gonna take a little bit more time, but we are collecting that data and it's looking like we might be able to do something with it.
Yeah, so before you shift into the next year, real briefly, so watchful eyes in the neighborhood and around our community are very important. Alert folks who live around here are able to report back to the board when they see something that could potentially impact the lake. This is one of the strong and really necessary reasons why we have this board. We're fed by streams. We are constantly under, I'll call it attack by outside forces that are impacting what's coming into this lake. And the more that we are alert and aware about this, the more we can at least point our attention towards it. Something was brought up to Chris recently and we were not really in the know, but the point is that if you know something or you believe that something is happening and we're not mentioning it, don't be afraid to either reach out on an email, send a direct message, so that at least we can point some energies to it.
Yeah, and that's a good point, because one of the reasons, at least my thought before this meeting, was repeating this initiative at each meeting. You know, in all efforts, we want to streamline these meetings, we want to make them shorter, we don't want to have 9 pages of agenda. Tonight, we only have 4, so we're doing quite well on page 3, but something like this is important, and the more we advertise it, the more people understand that, because, and pardon the term, because this can sound negative, the ignorance of those who just don't know because they don't know, and when they come to our beach, or they see our lake, and they see algae growing, their untrained eye, or not having any knowledge of why, you know, the biodiversity of a lake and what causes this, it immediately looks like somebody's not doing something. There's something wrong here because somebody's not doing something. This lake is surrounded in agricultural land well over 100 years ago. There's a high phosphorus content here. It's not going anywhere. The only technical way you could ever really get rid of it would be.
The only way to lock it up, is not allowed by the state.
So, yeah, so there are chemical means to completely like lock it up, pull it out of solution. But the other way, and it's not a feasible one, is to dredge the entire lake, and that's just not even that's not in the cards. No one is going to allow, state DC is not gonna allow any shovels or excavators to come in and pull the lake bottom up. There was those that even said when the lake was empty, you missed your opportunity. There was no opportunity. That was never going to happen. No one was ever gonna come in here and dredge the entire lake. That is just hot air. So with that, there's hope in the future to, as Fred mentioned, with Foslock and alum and these binding chemicals, but they're still not legal in New York State. Connecticut, it's legal, and we mentioned that it's illegal, I believe, in one of the Great Lakes states, like Michigan. But just to also piggyback on what Larry just mentioned about kind of see something, say something, that term been used to the last 20 years. The external sewer municipality, New Windsor Cornwall Sewer Department alerts to the pump station through a red beacon at the pump house. So during those rains that we had mentioned over the last couple of weeks, if you had driven by or you live near one of the pump houses, either near Beach Road and Shore, the other one that's off of Lake on the New Windsor side by Reserve 7, between Reserve 7 and 8, and also the Cornwall pump house right here by Reserve 2. Which we always say the address is, what is that, 159,
139.
139, so 139 Shore Drive. You ever see a red light, that is simply a trip of that the water level is high and somebody needs to come check it out, which automatically sends an alert to the sewer company. So when you see that, they should be coming shortly, but there is a sign on the buildings that say, see it, call them up. There's nothing wrong with bugging them, there's nothing wrong with making multiple calls.
Molly and I do that all the time.
So case in point, Fred as a resident has been doing that. I've done that. I know Jason's done that. I know we've all probably at some point have seen manhole covers overflowing during high rains. We've had previous board members and chairmen that are still doing their due diligence to pay attention to this. As residents, this is something that all of us can add to this fight, this initiative to get the town to take notice that our stormwater and our sewer systems need some remediation.
Builds off of that. It's not just the pump houses, but it's also the storm drains. I know one of my morning walks, going on water view, new construction had washed out one storm.
Oh, yeah.
And completely blocked out one storm drain
This past summer, right?
over the summer.
Yeah,
And I called them, and it remediated, they took measures to block the silt from washing out our street. But even regular storm drains, the December 26th storm.
Hey.
My basement, because
Jason needed a
the
vote.
Windsor didn't clean out the storm drains that I called them the month before to do. And it happened prior December as well. And the December before that as well. So they're not cleaning it soon enough.
Yeah, and there's been there's possibly engineering flaws. Were this many homes ever intended to be here? Was the system set up for this many homes? Probably not. And by the way, it is illegal to take your sump pump and connect it to your sewer. Can't do that. That's illegal. All right, anything else on that? Sewer municipality,
I don't have anything on reserve number one with the collapse, right, of the water, whatever that was.
yeah, so what,
Lucky.
yeah, no update, DPW, we had, that came up in the 12-5 meeting with the commissioner. And so the reserve property, the county property has an erosion issue, it's unearthing the pipe, it's a sinkhole. Then it butts up to the street. The town, I believe, and now that's Cornwall, so Cornwall Highway came to look at it. Did not see an imminent threat, so if anybody goes near Reserve One, it's been it's been this way since what, August?
Yes.
Is it summer? So you'll see an area taped off, don't go there and stomp on it, but the area under the road at the moment still seems to be safe. There's a culvert pipe that goes underneath. And at some point, that's definitely gonna need to be replaced. It's just obvious, but if anybody has missed prior meetings, one of the ideas that Jason had was having something to catch, a buffer before it goes in the lake, a rain garden that could be put, post this outflow, what adjunct to it getting all corrected. So you fix the pipe, fix the land, put in the rain garden. That would be, I think, the word. Because we've talked about this many times, this is nothing new, so that's just something that we would probably like to see happen this year, not later than that. All right, so on to, let's see, where are we, number 7, 6, 7, reserves in Orange County property use, this is a bit review, I'm gonna skip the maintenance and the snow part, boat storage policy update. That new boat storage will continue, the new board, us, will continue to work on this through 2024. Just understand what that means is that through next year, that means there'll be new issuance of stickers, the orange stickers. Are they gonna be orange? Are they gonna be green? Are they gonna be blue? We don't know yet. And that will be a large project, and that's where residents, need to understand that the board is a volunteer board. And taking on something like reorganizing, recataloging every car that parks here and any boat. Go ahead.
814 homes worth of.
Yeah, so 814 homes have the right to park on the reserves, provided you have the orange BDL sticker. And your boat also needs to have the sticker to be for any new residents, your boat needs to be stickered. Now, it should also be registered with the Department of Motor Vehicles, believe it or not, because if your boat does get stolen, the police have no real obligation to try to chase after your boat if your hull number has not been recorded by the state. So take that was something that I learned this summer. So, that's something that might be worth repeating and putting on some signage that not only do you need a sticker for your boat, and it's a privilege to keep them on our reserves, because one of the problems right now is that the racks really do need some work, and we want to expand them, we want to fix them, we want to give a greater capacity for more boats to be stored on the reserve. Not a lot of boats have been taken back this winter, we'll get to that in a moment. I think some folks are waiting to get their individual emails asking them to come get them. If you're viewing this right now, please come get your boat if it's sitting at reserve 2 or 3, because the moment we get good weather, the moment spring starts, we're gonna have some volunteers working on these racks, and we're gonna be asking you to take your boat off anyway, and it gives us an opportunity to clean underneath. So, yeah, so that's a large project, a large initiative, something that's really gonna change things in the way it looks aesthetically around here, because we would like our lake to improve, visually, diminish the clutter, diminish the boats that have been abandoned. That's been spoken about for the last several years with prior board members, Larry, of course, before I, and we've discarded some boats, but there still are more boats there. And it's just been a practice where residents can pretty much come and dump the boat, leave it and use it every 3 years or something. Now, yes, there are exceptions to that. There are some people sitting there saying, I use my boat every week. That's fine. We just need a new way to have access to move your boat if we need to. And we also want to make it so that more residents can actually store their boats there. But the one caveat is that we really need folks to take their boats back home during the winter, or authorize the board to move your boat to where we deem for storage, so that we can do any repairs over the winter, for landscaping reasons, tree removal. There's a large tree up right now on Reserve 2 that's being discussed of being taken down. And at the moment, there's about 10 boats that would be directly affected if a tree company were to come tomorrow, and they're just gonna move everything out of the way. So your boats are chained up. So we're gonna be asking also, just to say that you, when you lock up your boat, it's going to be requested that you use a combination lock, and give the combination to the board so that we can unlock it. Because otherwise, the only option would be to cut.
Now, bear in mind, if the tree branch falls and destroys somebody's boat, I don't think they're liable for it,
No,
being stored over there. So, if you just leave your property and you don't make it over there, and there's a giant dead tree, and we're actively working to try to do something about it, it comes down and destroys your property, we're sorry, it's not our fault. So we're trying to urge you, and one really relevant thing that I wanna bring up regarding this project, the 4 board members who are sitting here, we are not looking for storage ourselves. So it's not like, self-fulfilling. I'm lakefront, I don't need the storage. Chris doesn't, Jason, Fred, we're lakefront, and that's no better than thou. But what I'm saying is the fact is that we're selflessly trying to aesthetically improve and make it better for all of you guys. For me, it's not gonna, other than the pride in getting something done that needed to be done for a very long time. So just wanted to pass that on.
Yeah, and if you have any questions, please reach out, respond to so there was an email sent out October 8th initially. It was called the updated boat storage policies coming in 2025. I believe what I may resend that and tweak it a bit, make sure it gets out to additional residents, and really looking for feedback on that, because we don't want to make this just board is coming up with this policy and everybody must follow. It does need to go through us, but if you have any good ideas, please bring them our way. Right.
Yeah, I just wanted to build off on that we have 814 homes that need access, that are, not all of the chunk is lakeside. They need access to be able to put their kayaks and boats as well. And if it's a mess there,
Yeah,
then they're missing out as well. So if we can get proper racks there, we can hold more boats there, protect the deep better.
cannot argue that, and from walking around and talking to a few people, occasionally there's a bit of an air of, well, I've been here for 40 years. You have equal use, you have equal availability, equal privilege to the person living on Skid Bottom. Okay, it doesn't matter that you live on shore, doesn't matter that you live where you could see Reserve 3, you don't get right over it. It's not so much, it would be a first come, first served, but there's still that idea of making it accessible to all residents, and to give the additional people that live here the opportunity to store their boat during the season. Fred,
Being that I live so close to Reserve 2, it's hard not to see the number of boats that are there that I have never seen anybody use. Whether they're, and I'm sure when Larry went through trying to get rid of the abandoned boats, that I haven't looked at it myself, but I'm sure that most of them have stickers on them. If not, I'm sure we would have said something. But I just wonder, not that I can do any policy, but how many of these boats really ever get used?
You brought up the issue of, so, you know, you have no more right than anybody else. We're gonna have to move these boats when we start putting these racks in.
Right.
So, we're going to have to do something. I've got an idea that I'll propose to the board after the meeting, but, you know, it's just, I think at least 70% of those boats never get used.
Yeah, and Fred, you might be right, yeah, because anytime that I know I've ever gone down there and I've just kind of taken photos for record, just to see, and I compare photos. The colors line up, almost the exact same place. You know,
Every time the boats have been used, and generally when one gets stolen,
right,
then all of a sudden there's a boat missing.
right. Yeah, you know, and also there's been issues of boats being put on the grass and the lawnmower comes. The landscaper picks up the boat and moves it, and then the resident is upset that the boat's been moved. Or it got damaged by a weed whacker, those kind of things. So what we are trying to do is stop all of that and take that chance from off the table from happening. So, okay, with that, we spent more time on boats than I thought we would, but we're almost there. So, community events, the fun thing, the fun things that have been happening here for, as long as I can remember. Larry, he's the guy.
Well, thank you. We don't have too many things brewing right now. It is the, obviously the grips of winter. A lot of people are hibernating in their home, but, because December was so very busy for the board, elections, and so many holiday things going on, we chose to run our food and fun drive for January this year instead of during the holiday season. So I talked with the John at the Country Kids Food Pantry. He runs the pantry, and he said that supplies for food are lowest after the holidays because the need is so great, there's such a large draw, and then everybody forgets about this issue. During the holidays, they see an influx, and then after everything is taken, there's no replenishment, and therefore a January food drive is really great. So it's very welcome that we were going to do this for this year. Not only are we doing the food drive and we're collecting food in a red bin outside, I come here almost every single day. And I know that Tom Lark is also bringing food in from our waterproof bin. So if there's ever a time where it's full and you don't have room, you can either direct message to us or leave the stuff outside, and I believe you, we're gonna see it, we're gonna be by, so.
I'm around all the time.
Yes.
So just,
Awesome.
the board lets me know, I'll come down and bring it in.
So what we have also requested is that because the food pantry has really strong buying power with the food bank, if they get monetary donations, they can multiply the amount of food they get versus you and I running to the store and paying retail and giving them the product. While they love that and they're very happy with it, $100 worth of food that you're buying at the store is $400 worth of food they can buy at the food bank through the pricing and all the power. So to that end, I have been going around and collecting anybody's checks or even a few cash donations. So if you wanted to make those donations, I have 2 or 3 people right now that are ready and just gonna call me up. Don't drop a donation in the bin outside as far as cash, but the idea is that I have a team of people, mostly myself, but a few others who are willing to go and pick up your monetary donations. All will be going to local food insecurity. This is not going anywhere else.
You mentioned money is probably the best thing. Is there a food that you would say that most people might have, or is it canned good, or something that you'd say that would still be very?
Yeah, we can't, non-canned goods are the items that don't require refrigeration and long shelf life. The best items in that category generally are low water activity items such as pasta, beans, rice, because they have very long storage and that bacteria cannot grow in that environment. Hence, you might get 2 years on an item, whereas if you have some other things, they're gonna be substantially less. Dented cans are frowned upon because there can be potential botulism poisoning if their cans are swollen, but do the right thing, make the right call. So if you have, again, your holiday, and you got snowed out, or, you know, had lower turnout because everybody was sick and just stumbling across extra stuff in your pantry and you're like, I'd like to put this to good use, bring it on down. We're gonna get it to the Country Kids Local Food Pantry that is 100% local. As far as other future events, we may put together another jewelry making class, as it was extremely successful, and the person who ran the event, Cecilia, was more than happy to do another event. We have opening, right now, we have one submission to the board for building use, which we'll have to discuss soon, for another potential activity that we'll keep you updated on. But if you have a great idea and you want to do something, reach out, we'll get you the resident building use form. It's very simple to fill out, and we'll discuss it as a board, and if it meets all the criteria to allow you to use the building, we'll be happy to do that, okay? I'm just gonna shift focus over into some of the other things that we were doing.
But why don't we toggle back and forth just for
Sure.
continuity? And I'd like to give an opportunity for other board members just to, because I know Larry has a few things, I have like just two things that I jotted down. For your reappointment, Fred, do you have any comment? That you'd
No,
like to
just
make?
the ongoing, and I'll say frustration that I have regarding our grant program. You and I have discussed this, and, we're going to have to really start doing a full court press on this thing.
Agreed. Fred's referring once again to the DEC invasive species grant, where we get a 51%, 52%, it was 52% kickback on any dollar spent towards services and materials.
Anything involving the investigation, treatment of for invasive species.
Right, and that sunsets in July, and DPW has been given many
July 10th.
receipts. July 10th. So we're really getting a little antsy that, because we wanna see movement, because these receipts, still need to be submitted to the DEC.
Yeah, so far, we've submitted $57,000 that have been put towards this program since 2017. And, so far as I know, nothing is being done.
Yeah, so $57,000 cannot be left on the table, and we will not allow that to be left on the table. So I think, so that's Fred just bringing up a concern of something that he's been spearheading for several months, but at least 8 or 10 months. Jason, do you have any comments for this evening? No? Oh, good. All right, Larry, back to you.
All right, real briefly, a number of residents had been talking about the Chestnut Avenue Park, lack of access, and the ability for us to maybe make a better space for our newly incoming folks who really want to use this park, and there's no access. So we've really been fortunate, and believe it or not, some action has been taken. While not everybody might be able to get over on Chestnut Avenue and check out, the Town of New Windsor Parks and Recreation Department came down, and they started a nice walkable path. It is not 100% complete. There is a process to the whole thing of leveling it, adding these millings and dirt that will compact over the next couple of months, and then they will be back in the springtime. So special thanks to Eve Lincoln, who really took this initiative once I got noticed that she had the ability to get things done and really make things happen. Her and our newly elected Town of New Windsor Supervisor, Steve Cadetti, they really got the ball rolling so quickly, and we really appreciate it. That's not the end for this park for us. There may be some viable spots that might be put up on Chestnut. There may be some other future improvements. People are asking about pickleball and those kinds of things. It'll all be great to add more value so that we can enjoy this park even more and even more. So other than that, I'll pass it off to Chris. He had a few other things to talk about.
I have one question.
Yeah, sure. Can I just piggyback 1 second, Fred? I just want to piggyback on that. And just so everybody knows, so the park that, and Larry mentioned, it's a New Windsor Park. This is not a DPW, this is not a county park. So when we speak about this park, this is not actually an obligation by the board. We're simply using this, and that's why it's in the residents forum, because we are residents. And being that we're residents also, there's residents sitting right here in New Windsor. It's very important to us, but it happens to be a community access park and nobody is checking if you're Cornwall or you're Blooming Grove at the door. So this is a town of New Windsor park, but just wanted to say that this is not a Orange County park, but I think everyone can agree here that making that park better would be best for the entire community. Okay, sorry, Fred.
Just a quick question, as far as you know, Larry, has anything been addressed regarding that cul-de-sac at the end of Chestnut that would be allowed even a few cars?
Parking,
Right, right,
I can speak to that in a second.
under the impression that, the residents were going to be surveyed and asked for their feedback regarding the parking situation. I wasn't given any further detail whether that happened or not. And I'm gonna say if, from that talking point, if there are people who are down there that have no objection to it, I think that it might be a quick fix, but I don't have that answer.
Yeah, and I could speak quickly to that part, because I think it was about 2 springs ago, I was having a conversation with George Myers. And that was the one question that kind of came up was the no parking in the cul-de-sac. Could we allow sun up to sundown parking? And he really wanted to focus on putting parking inside the park. So there were trees to possibly be cleared so that you could put a small parking lot. Now, there's also some ADA compliant issues that you have to have for the town. I believe there's something at the moment where if you're to make improvements upon any town facility, you also have to respect the Americans with Disabilities Act. Therefore, there has to be handicapable parking in the facility itself. So you can't just put 3 spots and not label it. They have to be the correct width. They have to have the right buffer zone. So it was more of a, hey, we can't just go in there with a shovel and do it. We have to get the engineers and pay for that, and the lawyers. So that was spoken about a while ago, and that was where some of the money was possibly coming from also to do this. At the time, I don't know with the new supervisor and the new board now, how it's being handled or paid for. Maybe it's just coming through the Department of Rec. But conversations that I had with George Myers 18 months ago were more of there's federal money for ADA, and if we do it inside the park, as long as we comply, we could get federal money. So I don't know if that's still in play. That's a good little thing to maybe add on.
I was.
They weren't interested in changing parking on the street.
Yeah, I
That's what
was
I'm
tuned
saying.
into the town of New Windsor, meeting where, newly appointed town of New Windsor, Steve Getty, was mentioning that there are a number of projects that are going on within Christie Babcock Park, and they're very high value projects. And that, they want to put together a quote unquote master plan to submit so that they will easily be able to show the road, like the pathway on what they're doing with the parks. While it's not complete, that was something that was discussed, I believe, in their January meeting. So I think that would be incorporated in the continued improvement on the Chestnut Avenue Park. But the Christie Babcock Park is gonna have a big splash pad, like
Wow.
$1 million project going. And they're in the process of bidding and all that. And that, I believe that in order to get these funds, which were kind of like open and available, that they had to put in a master plan. So that was what my takeaway was from by watching the town of New Windsor meeting the other day.
All right, Diana, Donna, Jan, Joe, Cindy, Kim, Christina, Mike, Roberta, Roy, Abby, anybody have anything to add? It's your moment, make us feel like we're not completely speaking to a bunch of chairs in here. If you have anything, just don't forget, you can always just type it up on the screen. But just something I just wanted to mention, please clean your culvert and leaves. You can talk to the town about that. If the culvert outside of your home is become overrun and overflowing and leaves are filling up any of the storm drains outside your home, call the town. They should come out and take care of that. If your culvert is really bad, that might be something to really press the board about having the highway department come out and dig it. It's been done in places. As long as you can substantiate, maybe take some photos, that water's coming out because it's the winter, and if water's rushing out, it's gonna go across the road and create an ice, sheet. So, rain runoff on the streets can certainly be an issue. Also, something else that's been mentioned a long time ago, you're entitled, Cornwall residents have this too. I don't know about Blooming Grove, New Windsor residents have this, where you can call the sewer department. The sewer department will come and clean out your service line from the main sewer in the street to your home for free. They will come and tell you what's wrong. They're responsible for that section. Now, if it's longer than, let's say you have a house that's 400 yards off the road, I believe there's only a section that they're responsible for. They're not responsible for the whole thing, but you could at least speak to the sewer department about if you're having a slow drain issue, or possibly if there's a drain issue near your driveway. All that could be tied in, because there are some houses that have drains like in their driveway that are tied into runoff areas in Beaver Dam. Beaver Dam is very convoluted, peaks and valleys, right turns, people have structures that are on other people's property lines because this was all agricultural and the lines were probably not always done with lasers. So, just make some calls and find out from your proper town representatives, what could be done, or let the government help you. Just a note of living on Shore Drive, for those, and this could be a bone of contention for some. The speed limit is 30 miles an hour. 30 miles an hour. Now, 30 miles an hour on a residential road that's not straight. I'm sorry, but as a resident, speaking as a resident, not a board member, it angers me to see people not only approaching 30, eclipsing 30 when you have elderly, children, new parents with strollers coming down Shore Drive, and it's 6 o'clock in the morning and you're on my bumper and I'm stopping at a stop sign. 30 miles an hour is a limit, not a goal. It's not a goal. You're not on the Hutch, you're not on the Sawmill, you're not on the Palisades, you're not on the Thruway. So please, if you're a new resident, you've not lived in a residential area with small streets with no yellow lines and no sidewalks, this is not, and I'll say this to somebody in the room, this is not Nepperhan Avenue. This is not Yonkers Avenue, this is not 9W in North Rockland, where I'm from originally. Those are large roads with sidewalks. When you're in a community such as this, I think you're irresponsible if you're breaking 20 miles an hour. And to be honest, when you get up on somebody and you get to the stop sign by Cumberland Farms and you're behind the driver that long, you're only slowing them down. And then if you then pass them on the left and commit a crime, there are eyes upon you. Just know that. There are eyes upon you. People have Ring cameras. You're being filmed. I'm just gonna say that. All right. Sorry if I got my ire up a little bit, but
Actually, was followed from Shore to Quaker Avenue to 9W. Tailgated the entire time while we were sleeping.
with a BDL sticker, or?
Well, sure. But it's
Yeah.
9W.
I've gone across Thorn King Mountain with, somebody flashing me the whole way on Jackson and it's. Yeah, so sorry to sort of end the meeting in a,
Can I just add one other thing, Chris?
yes, go ahead, Fred.
I'm speaking with someone from the Salisbury Mills Fire Department. And if there's anything that they're pleading all residents to make sure the number on their house is clearly visible. And because I know I do Meals on Wheels and sometimes it's hard to look for a house number for a new person. Put it on your mailbox, do something to make that number visible. Your life may depend on it. That ambulance, that fire truck can find your house right away. Just don't assume, do it.
To build on that, you can also go into MSN and Google, and you can check their map searches. So if somebody has to use GPS, it points you to the right house as well, and not next door to it.
Chris had mentioned the ring cameras.
Mhm.
Forget our Bobcat. Right? Keep an eye on your pets. There's too many lost pets, and there was a Bobcat that was seen on a camera right down the street.
I think it's fantastic. I love the fact that there's a Bobcat around here.
But not so cool.
Yeah, okay, with that, I think we're gonna call it a night. Thank you so much. This is probably a bit more of a podcast, as we said, so many people are at the treetop meeting, I believe. I think we only had about maybe 14 or 15 on at the most, right? But please keep in mind, spread the word. We'll say it in our emails. You can review these, meetings on YouTube. And you never know, at some point, there might be something that a neighbor of yours missed, and you can direct them back to watch the January meeting or the December meeting or whatever. Okay, with that, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. This concludes our meeting.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe, Jason says. Have a good night.